So let's start with supply. Another topic, second chapter, supply. What is supply? Like in case of demand, I have told you what is demand. Demand was the willingness to buy any commodity at a given price during a particular period of time. So supply is nothing but goods offered for sale at a given price during a particular period of time. So again, what is the difference between production and supply? Do you think production or output is equal to supply? No. Then if I don't want to supply, then why would I produce? If I don't want to supply, why would I produce? Self-consumption. Forget about self-consumption. Yeah, tell me. Because I may not be able to, I may not be willing to sell at the prevailing market price. That's the reason. You were there in my class before? Says something. Yeah. Very bad at recognizing faces. So you sat there here only. Alright. So forget about, pardon me. I sometimes don't really recognize my relative also. If I see them, after 7, 8, 10 years, you don't know me. And sometimes it so happens when somebody meets you, say, hi, how are you? And say, I don't know. But the thing is, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know. How are you? How are you doing? Nice to meeting you, this and that. And I'm just like talking to him. And then my wife came and said, you know him? And I don't know. Then why you're talking to him? You're talking to me like as a friend. I don't know. I thought he thinks that I have met him before. But anyways, so good. I may not be willing, say for example, I was willing to sell a commodity at a given price that it has rupees 20 per unit, but market price may fall down. When market price will fall down, why would I want to sell some commodity at a lower price? If I have the ability to store that commodity, I'll store it to sell it at a higher price, because at the end of the day, I'm doing business for profit. So if say for example, I produce this pen, I was willing to sell at 20 rupees per unit, but the market price fall down to 15 rupees. If I can store this pen, don't you think I would try to store this pen? Because I'll wait for the price to increase and then I'll sell more. So that's why output is not equal to supply, because I may not be willing to sell at the given market price. Alright, that's why you have the concept of closing stock in business. Otherwise, whatever you produce will be sold in the market. Clear? But when it comes to law of supply, the relationship between in case of price and law quantity demanded was what? Inverse. Inverse, why? Because I want to buy any commodity at a lower price rather than at a higher price, because I have to protect my income from falling down if the price increases. But in case of supply, the relationship will become positive. So the law of supply says, holding all other factors constant, there will be a positive or direct relation. Positive or direct relation between price and quantity supplied. Meaning, if the price increases, quantity supplied will also increase, and if the price decreases, quantity supplied will also decrease. But tell me one thing again, if I relate it to the demand, suppose I'm a seller, alright, if I increase the price, I know that the demand will come down. That's what the law of demand says. What does the law of demand says? Law of demand says if you increase the price, the quantity demanded will come down. So if I increase the price, I know I'll be able to sell less because demand is coming down. Then why would I increase my supply? It means there is something wrong with, or something inexplicable, something is happening between law, demand and supply, isn't it? Think it in this manner. If I am selling this pen at 20 rupees, if I increase the price of this pen from 20 rupees, and at 20 rupees, I was willing to sell 100 units. Because 100 units I was able to sell because demand was 100 units. Now, if I increase the price from 20 rupees to 25 rupees, don't you think quantity demanded will fall down from 100 to maybe 80 units or 70 units or 60 units? So I know when I increase the price, quantity demanded will fall down. Then why would I supply more? Don't you think I'll have unsold stock? So tell me, is there something wrong between the law of demand and supply? Give me the answer. Whoever gives me the answer gets a reward. Bolo. You'll get a big dairy milk silk. No, seriously. Difficult question I ask. Whenever there is a reward, you will get the reward. So tell me. That's called motivation in management. Right? So tell me, if I increase the price, I'm a seller. If I increase the price, I know my sales will go down because people will buy less. Then why the hell will I supply more? How will I get more income if my sales go down, dear? How would I, if say I was selling, if suppose I have a cake shop, I produce cake, and how do I determine the price? What are my competitors and everybody selling? What is my cost of production? My cost of production comes down to rupees 200 per kilogram of cake. I decided to sell at rupees 350. Suddenly one day I said, no, 350 is not sufficient. I'll increase the price to 550. Alright, or 700. Will you buy cake from my shop? Because other competitors are selling at a lower price. Then why would I increase the price and increase the sales, increase the supply? If the consumer likes it, then they will. If the consumer likes it, but consumer, okay, no problem. Do you think if you like any commodity and you're willing to pay a price for it, and if I increase the price, even though you like it, do you think you'll buy from me? Don't you think you will want to substitute my product with somebody else's product?
If there is no substitute.
No, forget about that. I'm talking about the situation. Monopoly is a situation we'll discuss later on. Suppose there are competitors. Bolo. Think. Bolo. How many of you have studied supply before in your school or college? Raise your hand. Especially those answer. Tell me.
Sir, when price of individual increases,
price of individual? No, I am individual. I cannot increase my price. Not sellable commodity.
Income increases, they will buy, sir.
If the income increases, support it, because law of demand says law of supply says holding all other factors constant. So income is not increasing. And even if your income increases, if Inox is charging you 200 and PVR increases the price to 300, where will you go to watch movie? Even if your income increases, then why will I increase? What is wrong with the law of supply and between the law of supply and law of demand?
Maybe violation to law of demand.
Law of supply is a violation to the law of demand. No, there is no violation. So I'm eliminating all the so you must get the right answer then. Bolo, think that the problem, you have not thought too much about the subject in your school and college days, that this is what the outcome will be, because everything you have studied from the book and what the teacher said, okay, don't ask questions out of the syllabus. You have to get conceptual clarity because the questions will not be straight. Think. This is a very powerful thing. The more you think, the more you learn. Please close the door, somebody. Other class will get.
In law of supply, all the other determinants stay constant.
In law of demand also all the other determinants remain constant. Didn't I tell you ceteris paribus?
Is it speculation of price?
No.
So the unsold goods or the law that supply will increase.
Unsold goods. But why will I supply more, dear, when I know that when I increase the price,
The rate of change is different between these entities.
rate of change is different? No. Given up? Or anybody wants to try?
If the product is market leader in that particular
Market?
market leader, the product. If you market leader in the particular sector, then the demand will be more for that product.
Then you're taking one assumption. No, I'm talking about a general situation. I'm talking about a normal situation, not a market leader, not nothing. Think, why would I increase price? Why will I increase the price of the product? Because demand is more. Then answer me. See dear, demand do not depend on supply, supply depends on demand. Alright. So, let me give you the example. If I'm selling, say for example, 20 kilograms of cake or 20 units of cake in my shop, and the selling price I'm selling at rupees 300 per kilogram. If I say that enough is enough, from tomorrow I'll sell the same cake at rupees 450, I increase the price. I know if I increase the price, the quantity demanded will fall down, I'll not be able to sell 20 kilograms of cake. Then why will I increase the supply from 20 to 40? I will not do that. I will not increase the price just unilaterally without thinking whether people are willing to pay or not. So if I increase the price without taking into consideration the demand, as you have said, the quantity supply, I'll have unsold stock. But if suppose tomorrow is a Valentine's Day, suppose, still 3 months, 4 months to go. So tomorrow is a Valentine's Day. Don't you think what happens on Valentine's Day? I mean, with respect to sale of goods, what happened? With respect to sale of these commodities, what happens? The demand suddenly increases. When the demand suddenly increases, I know people want to buy even at a higher price, then I will increase the price. It means this price is increasing and quantity supplied increases. I am not increasing the price. The market is pushing up the price high, so I am taking up the market price. On Saturdays and Sundays, why PVRs and Inox or multiplexes increase the price? And even though they have full capacity, because people are willing to pay more on Saturday and Sunday because they have an off. The offices are closed. If they go to movie on Saturday, Sunday, they don't have to work. That's not for us. So, in that case, people are willing to pay a high price. Why not they charge a high price? So, I will increase the price only when the people are willing to pay a high price. You see, a single rose is normally sold at 2 rupees, maybe 3 rupees per unit. On 14th February, you go and buy the same rose. You will not be able to negotiate with the seller because they know that you will buy. Wherever you go, you see the same price. So I will increase the price because you are willing to pay a high price. And when I increase the price, I know per unit's profit is increasing. Why not increase quantity supplied also? Because every unit, if I am getting 20 rupees extra, I would want to sell more units so that I can multiply my profit by larger number of units. Correct? That's why I increase the supply. But after Valentine's Day is over, do you think I can keep selling at 450? No. Now people are willing to pay a lower price, so market price will fall down back to 300. Alright, so I cannot sell above 300, nobody will buy. So again, I will have to decrease the price. But when I decrease the price, I know my profit is coming down, so I'll decrease my sales also. That's why the law of supply has a direct relationship with price. Clear? We also say that law of demand and law of supply, remember, it's all both are qualitative concept. Why? Again, same concept. Because the law of demand did not tell you by how much the quantity demanded will change if the price changes. It only tells you the direction. Because for normal goods, it will be a different elasticity. For luxury goods, it will be a different elasticity. The law doesn't define. Law doesn't define. Law only says if price increases, quantity demanded will decrease. By how much it will decrease, it will not say, never say. So in the same way, when the price of any commodity increases because people are willing to pay a high price, because the demand is rising, whenever the demand is more than supply, don't you think the price increases?
Yes, sir.
When the demand is more than supply, the price will always increase. I am not increasing the price. The market is telling me you increase the price because people will buy because the demand is very high. Alright. So whenever the demand is more than supply, the price will increase. But with the increasing price, can I beforehand say how much will be the quantity supplied in the market? No. So the law of supply only tells you in which direction the quantity supplied will move, but how much the supply will change, it will never tell you. You will come to know about this change after the changes already happened. That's why this supply is also just like demand is a qualitative concept. We also say that both demand and supply are flow concept and not stock concept. Demand and supply are flow concept and not stock concept. What do you mean by this? What do you mean by stock concept? When you prepare your financial statement, many of you may have prepared, you write the heading as for the year ended, as on that date. When you prepare your income tax returns, you'll see a specific date. During that date, what was your income? You can count and quantify it. You can take stock for it. You can take stock in your balance sheet. What is the extent of my liabilities? What is the extent of my assets? And so on and so forth. But in case of supply or in case of demand, they both get affected not only due to price but due to so many factors. So it's just like a flow concept wherein at any point in time, if you figure out this is the supply, but by the time you finish off your calculation, the supply would have changed. It will not remain fixed for a very, very long period of time. That's why it's not only a stock, it is not a stock concept, but it's a flow concept. Just like think in this manner. If I want to figure out how many liters of water is there in a tank, I can easily count it. I have to find out the area of the tank and find out how much of water it will hold. But if I ask you how much of water is flowing in river Kaveri from this area to this area, will you be able to tell me? No, because they get affected due to lot many factors. You cannot count. The moment you finish up, okay, from this area to this area, this million cubic feet of water is there. By the time you do that, everything has changed. Right? That's why it's a flow concept, not a stock concept. All right. So write down supply. Supply is defined as goods offered for sale, at a given price during a particular point in time. Underline offered for sale, underline price, underline point of time. Full stop. Both supply and demand are flow concept. Both supply and demand are flow concept. Because the law of supply never states, the law of supply / demand, all right, never states, law of supply / law of demand never states the quantitative, write down, quantitative change in the number of units due to change in price. Quantitative change in the number of units due to change in price. Full stop. The law only states relationship between price and quantity. Relationship between price and quantity. Next. According to the law of supply, next paragraph. According to the law of supply, there will be direct or positive relation between price and quantity supplied. Direct or positive relation between price and quantity supplied. Holding all other factors constant. Holding all other factors constant. Holding all other factors constant. Full stop. Full stop. But remember, this law has not many exceptions, just like the demand, it has limited exceptions. First of all, why do I want to increase supply? Because I want to earn profit. Now if suppose I'm selling, for example, I'm a manufacturer of toothpaste. Alright, my cost of production of toothpaste was rupees 100 and the market price was rupees 120. So I was able to make a profit of rupees 20. So when I was able to make a profit of rupees 20, my quantity sold or quantity supplied was say 1000 units. Alright, so I was making a profit of 20,000 rupees. Now if cost of production, all other factors remaining constant, that's what the law of supply says, market price increases from 120 to rupees 150. Don't you think per unit profit is going to increase from rupees 20 to rupees 50? And even if I don't increase the quantity supplied, then also my profit will increase from 20,000 to 50,000. But don't you think every business is there in business because they want to earn profit, they want to maximize their profit? So in order to maximize my profit, what should I do? Should I increase my quantity supplied or decrease the quantity supplied? Increase. So in order to magnify my profit further, I will increase the quantity supplied. Now I'll sell maybe 1400 units. Because I will always go after the profit. But the thing is, I am able to increase the supply of toothpaste. Why? Because I've already have the machinery. I have to just ask my labor to do overtime and consume more material as input, and I can produce. So it will honor the law of supply. And if suppose the market price falls down to rupees 105, my cost of production remaining same, now my profit falls down from 20 rupees or maybe from 50 rupees to rupees 5. Will I be willing to sell more? Will I be willing to use, pay the same amount to the labor and everything, but my profit is not increasing? No. So what I'll do is, if I would have produced already, I'll keep it as a stock. If I have not produced, then I will decrease my production, because I will not be willing to supply and use my material to get less profit. So I will decrease my supply to maybe 500 units. Clear? Because I can store whatever I have produced for a long period of time. So here the law of supply is never violated, is not violated. But what if I am producing perishable goods, like agricultural goods? If suppose a vegetable vendor is selling tomatoes, he was expecting that the price of tomatoes, when his tomatoes will be ready, will be rupees 20 per kilogram. When the time comes and he is harvesting his crop, he finds out that the price of tomato increases from rupees 20, the market price, he is not increasing, the market price increases from rupees 20 to rupees 60 per kilogram. He will get 40 rupees of extra profit. His profit will increase by 200%, right or wrong? But can he increase the supply? Can he grow tomatoes overnight? You'll not be able to. So in that case, even when the price is increasing, the quantity supplied will not increase. Or if suppose he was willing to sell at 20 rupees and market price falls down from 20 rupees to maybe 10 rupees. Do you think he will say, since I was willing to supply 1 ton of tomatoes at 20 rupees, now the price has fallen down, I'll supply less. What will do with the rest of the tomatoes? Can he store it for any long period of time? No. It means even when the price falls down, he'll have to get rid of the tomatoes, because maybe after 2 days he'll be left with nothing. Right or wrong? So in case of perishable goods, the law of supply do not work, because perishable goods cannot be produced overnight. If suppose a seller of milk, he has, say for example 20 buffaloes, and he sells in the market 300 liters of milk every day. The demand for milk increases, due to which the price of milk also increases. Do you think he can produce buffaloes overnight? Or do you think he can pray his buffalo, please do overtime and give me more milk? What overtime? So he cannot increase the supply of milk. The supply of milk will only increase in the long term when we have more buffaloes in the economy and more cows in the economy. So even when the price is increasing, can I increase? No. And when the price is decreasing, do you think he'll say, okay, my buffaloes will store the milk and tomorrow he'll get double milk, so I'll sell at a higher price? No, if you don't extract the milk, that will be a waste for you. Alright, the buffalo will not give you double the milk. If you don't take out milk from the buffalo, then do you think after 4 days it will give you 4 times the milk? The buffalo will... Alright, not possible. So in case of perishable goods, the law of supply do not work. Alright, so write down. The law of supply do not work in case of perishable goods or agricultural goods. In case of perishable goods or agricultural goods, because even if the market price increases or decreases, the quantity supplied cannot be changed in a very short time period. So if I have to draw a supply curve, the supply curve will have positive slope. It will be sloping upward to the right, not downward to the right. If suppose, again same logic, you understood demand, you will understand supply very easily. Price and quantity. If this was the price P0, let's take it a little higher. If this was the price P0, quantity supplied was this Q0. When the price increases to P1, quantity supplied will increase to Q1. And when the price decreases to P2, quantity supplied will decrease to Q2. You see, in the previous case, price increases, quantity demand decreases. But here when the price increases, quantity supplied will increase. Price decreases, quantity supplied will decrease. When I join these 3 points, this will be your supply curve, which is upward sloping to the right. Quickly draw the supply curve. Many students keep shuffling between Fishadipuram and Jayanagar. What? Yesterday there were close to 8 or 9 students who attended the evening batch. No problem, you can do it. That's why I keep the batches parallel. If you miss out the morning class, if you have a test, you can attend the Fishadipuram classes. Write down. Since the law of supply states a direct relation between price and quantity supplied comma, the supply curve will be positively sloped, underline positively sloped, that is, it will slope upward to the right. Upward to the right. Clear? Now, many a time they try to confuse you, wherein they will give you various other factors that can as well affect supply. Again, that's the difference between the classical economists and the modern economists. The classical said that the supply will be affected due to price holding all of the factors constant, and modern said that no, supply will also, just like demand, get affected due to various factors. Clear? So what are those factors? Whenever you get confused, just remember one thing. Try to figure out what is happening to the profit of the seller. Just think about the profit of the seller. If due to any event the profit of the seller is increasing, he will increase the supply, because he is doing business, he is in that business to earn profit, not for charity. And if anything decreases the profit of the seller, the supply will decrease. Just keep this thing in mind, and let's understand these factors. Number one, price of same commodity or price of same good. If say price of good A increase, it means market price is increasing, I am not. If I increase the price without determining whether the consumers are willing to pay or not, then my sales will go down, because the quantity demanded will go down. I will only increase price when the demand is very high and people are willing to pay a high price. So when the price of good is increasing, then certainly A will give me more revenue, right or wrong? So the profit of seller increases, and when profit of seller will increase, then quantity supplied will also increase. So the relationship between price of the same commodity, that is price of good A, and quantity supplied is direct or positive. Direct or positive relation. Clear? Now let's take another factor, that is price of related goods, and in this case when I say related goods, I am not talking about complement, I am talking about substitutes. So price of related goods, that is the substitutes. Now if suppose cost of production of both A and B are the same, because all of the factors are assumed to remain constant. So suppose the cost of production for A is rupees 100 and cost of production for B is rupees 110. The market price or the selling price, you can say, of A is rupees 130. No, cost of production is same, sorry. Market price is 130. Here the market price is 110. So when I am talking about profit, which good will give me more profit? Here rupees 30 is the profit, and here rupees 10 is the profit. So if you are a seller, what will you choose to produce, considering you can produce both? A, obviously. People will enter into a business that gives them more profit, not less profit. Now suddenly the market price of A decreases from 130 rupees to 105 rupees. The market price of A decreases. So it means my profit will reduce to rupees 5. And if, here an assumption is taken, if you can produce as well B, will you continue to produce A? No. Why? Because you are doing your business for profit. If you can get more profit from B, then certainly you will produce more of B. Or if suppose the market price of B increases, then also you will supply more of B. Clear? Alright. So, in this case what happens? If price of good A decrease market price, then profit from B will be greater than profit from A. Correct? So, what will you do? Will you decrease the supply of A and increase the supply of B, or vice versa? You will increase the supply of B, no? So, you will increase. Now I am not writing quantity supplied, I am writing supply because this is a factor due to other than price. The same concept will be applicable here as well. So, supply of B will increase. So, what is the relationship between price of A and supply of B? Inverse relationship. If I am getting more profit from B, if the market price of B is increasing, I will decrease the supply of A. And if the market price of A is decreasing, I will increase the supply of B. So, in this case again you have negative or inverse relation. Relation is between what I am putting in the blocks, alright, between price of A and supply of B. Now let us take cost of production. Cost of production. Now if suppose cost of production of both A and B are same, alright, and I am selling A at rupees 120 market price and B at 130. So I will do what? I will supply B. But what if the cost of production of B increases? If the cost of production of B increases from 100 rupees to rupees 125, in that case my profit will reduce from 30 rupees to only 5 rupees, but A will still give me 20 rupees of profit, no? So will I continue to supply B or will I switch to A? Switch to A. It means what happens here, when cost of production increases, profit of seller decreases, and when profit of seller decreases, he will decrease supply. Clear? So relationship between supply and cost of production is inverse. Inverse or negative relation. Correct? Next, fourth is related to cost of production, that is technology. If there is an advancement in technology, advancement in tech, then don't you think due to advancement in tech, the cost of production will reduce? Right or wrong? When the cost of production will reduce, I am getting more advanced technology in case of A. So cost of production of A will reduce. So it means A will give me more profit than B. Will I continue to produce B? No. I will start producing more of A, decrease the production of B. So due to advanced technology, the cost of production further decreases. When the cost of production decreases, it means profit of seller increases, and when profit of seller increases, then he will certainly increase supply. So between advanced technology and supply, there is a direct relation. Direct or positive relation. Better the technology, more the supply. Inferior technology, less the supply. Because better the technology, more the cost of production, less the cost of production, more profit. Inferior the technology, more the cost of production, less profit. And don't you think technology has improved in the last 20 years so much that things of price of various electronics have come down? Go back 30 years, a middle income earning families could not afford a laptop or a computer. Today, in urban India, everybody is having a laptop or a computer, access to laptop or a computer, isn't it? Alright, why? Because the price has come down. Why the price has come down? Because of advancement in technology. Alright, I still remember long time back when I was still in college, first time the pen drive was introduced in India, and it was not manufactured, it was imported in India. I still remember HP, I still have that pen drive. I purchased a 128 MB, it was not in GB, it was not a GB era, it was an MB era. I have also seen the KB era. So GB, MB, 128 MB, it was sold at 5,000 rupees. Alright, today you can get 32 GB at 300, 400 rupees maybe. Right. Simple CD-ROM, it was introduced by Hewlett-Packard in India long time back and was sold at 30,000 to 35,000 rupees. Now at 600, 700 rupees you can get a CD-ROM. It's a fact. Clear. When Apple launched its first Macintosh computer in the 80s, when it was imported in India, during that time it was sold at close to 2.5 lakh rupees. Today you can get a MacBook Air at 1 lakh rupees or less maybe. And if you got a laptop, you are getting a laptop at even 25,000 rupees today. Why? Because of advancement in technology. That's why the supply has substantially increased. Because the cost of production has decreased. Fifth, taxes. When I am talking about taxes, I am talking about indirect taxes. Because on goods and services, you don't take direct taxes, you take indirect taxes, GST. If suppose, have you ever heard that industry gets very upset when government increases the tax on the commodity? Why? Because if the government increases the tax on any commodity, the seller are not going to pay the taxes, because whenever you buy any commodity from the market, it's written on it inclusive of all taxes, not exclusive of taxes. It means if government imposes 10% tax on this commodity, the seller will take 10% tax from you. The seller is taking the cost of production, his margin of profit and a tax component. He will keep the margin of profit and his cost of production and pass on the tax to the government. That's why indirect tax. It means you are paying, but seller, there is somebody in between you and the government. The seller is collecting the tax from you, giving it to the government. So when government increases the tax from 10% to 15%, if I'm a seller, I know I have to pass on the burden, I have to increase the price, but when I'm increasing the price, do you think the profit is coming to me? No. It is not a profit, the revenue is going to the government. It means I'll be forced to increase the price even though people are not willing to pay. So what will happen if you increase the price without taking into consideration, do you want to pay or not? See, when the market price increases, then I increase the price, that's a different thing. The sales will increase. Sales is higher, why? Because the demand is high. That's why the price is increasing. But demand is not increasing and government increases the tax. So it means I'll be forcing people to pay a higher price. Do you think people will be willing to pay a high price? No, people will decrease their consumption. Alright. So when indirect taxes or simply taxes increase, the burden on consumer also increase. When the burden on consumer will increase, it means quantity demanded will decrease because they have to pay a high price. And when quantity demanded is decreasing, it means my profit will also decrease, no? Because it's less demand, it means the market price, less demand, it means I'll not be able to sell. So it means profit of seller also decrease, and when a profit of seller decreases, then what I'll do? I will decrease supply. So it means between taxes and supply you have again indirect relation. So indirect or inverse relation. And last one, subsidies. What are subsidies? Subsidies are opposite of tax. If government gives subsidy, it means you will have to pay less by that margin. If suddenly government says on every Apple phone you get 50% subsidy, what you will do? It's not that Apple is forced to sell at a lower price. No, Apple is charging you 50,000. Apple will get 1 lakh as it was getting before, but Apple will be happy. Why? Because for the consumer the price has fallen down, but still the seller is getting the same money. Previously it was getting only 1 lakh from you. Now it will get 50,000 from you and 50,000 from the government. But for the consumer, that price has fallen down, don't you think that quantity demanded will increase? And when quantity demanded will increase, it means my profit will increase. So will I increase supply or decrease supply? Increase supply. So when subsidies increase, then burden on consumer decrease, and when burden of consumer, it means the market price will fall, it means quantity demanded will increase, it means profit of seller increases, and my profit is increasing, then he will increase supply. So the relationship between subsidy and supply is direct. So direct or positive relation, correct? Okay, note down this. Give the heading factors affecting supply. Done? Now, again, what was the difference between demand and quantity demanded when I used the two words? When the change in demand was due to factors other than price, I would call it as increase or decrease in demand only. When the change is due to factors which is only the price of that commodity, I'll call it as increase or decrease in quantity demanded, or expansion or contraction in demand, or change in quantity demanded. So same logic will be applicable here as well. When the change in supply is due to change in the price of the same commodity, only in case of one, I will call it as change in quantity demanded, which will lead to expansion or contraction along the same slope of the supply curve, or increase or decrease in quantity supplied. But in all other factors from 2 to 6, I will call it as increase or decrease in supply, not quantity supplied. So give the heading expansion / contraction in supply, within bracket increase or decrease in supply. Expansion, contraction in supply, within bracket increase or decrease in supply. So when the price was P0, demand was Q0. Again, when the price increases, now when the price increase in case of supply, you move up the slope or down the slope. You move up the slope leading to contraction. Here when the price increases, the supply will fall down. So we will move down the slope, not up the, you will move up the slope here, Q1. So in case of expansion, what was the situation? This was your demand curve, and when this was the price and this was the quantity, you move, when the price increases, you move from lower to upper segment, no? You're moving up here, clear? And up when you're moving, it is leading to what? Contraction. Here you are moving up also. But is it leading to contraction or is it leading to expansion? Expansion, just keep that in mind. When you move down on the slope of the demand curve, it will lead to expansion. When you move down on the slope of the supply curve, it will lead to contraction. Alright, when you move up on the slope of demand curve, it will lead to contraction. When you move up on the slope of supply curve, it will lead to expansion. Alright, so this I can say as increase in quantity supplied. And likewise, when the price falls down from P0 to P2, the quantity falls down from Q0 to Q2. So now see here, contraction in supply, or you can also say as decrease in quantity supplied. So if you have understood the concept of demand, supply is the same exactly. You have to just reverse the curve from downward sloping to upward sloping, and everything becomes opposite. Alright, draw the diagram. Write down. Due to change in the price of same commodity, due to change in the price of same commodity, there will be expansion and contraction in supply. Due to change in the price of same commodity, there will be expansion and contraction in supply. Which is commonly termed as increase and decrease in quantity supplied, underline quantity supplied, which is commonly termed as increase and decrease in quantity supplied. Full stop. Full stop. When the price increases, causing expansion, full stop, next line. When the price increases causing expansion or increase in quantity supplied, causing expansion or increase in quantity supplied, there is an upward movement along the slope of the supply curve. There is an upward movement along the slope of the supply curve. Full stop. Whereas when the price decreases, it leads to contraction in supply or decrease in quantity supplied, and there is movement down the slope of the supply curve, underline down the slope of the supply curve. Full stop. Thus, during expansion and contraction, the slope of the supply curve do not change. Thus, during expansion and contraction, the slope of the supply curve do not change. All right. Now, give the heading change in supply due to factors other than price. Supply due to factors other than price of the same commodity. Now in this case you see here, just like the demand curve, what is the difference in this between this diagram and the demand diagram? You see, in case of demand curve, it was only the downward sloping curve rather than an upward sloping curve. Alright. But the reasons were different. When demand was increasing or decreasing, even though when the price was remaining the same, rightward shift led to increase in demand. Here also rightward shift will lead to increase in supply. Leftward shift will lead to decrease in demand. Here also leftward shift will lead to decrease in supply. Only thing is, this is a downward sloping curve, this is an upward sloping curve, and the big difference is increase or decrease in demand. It happens due to factors other than price. And what are those factors? Income increases, rightward shift, income decreases, leftward shift. Consumer preference, better preference, positive effect in the mind, rightward shift, you will buy more. Negative perception, Maggie, I gave you the example, leftward shift. Price of complements, if the price of petrol increases, demand for petrol car will decrease, price of petrol decreases, demand for petrol car increases, and so on and so forth. That was demand. Here it will be all those 2 to 6 factors that we have seen. If say for example this is the demand curve for commodity A, good A, say for example, if the price of B increases, price of A is not increasing, price of B increases, B will give me more profit, so I will decrease the supply of A. If people who are supplying B and the price of B decreases, then A will give me more profit. A's market price is not changing, B's market price is diminishing, so I'll increase the supply of A. Correct? If suppose taxes on B falls down, B will give me more profit, I'll decrease the supply of A. Taxes on B increase, B will give me less profit, I'll increase the supply of A. Government gives more subsidy on B, profit from B will be more, I'll decrease the supply of A. Government decreases the subsidies on B, so those who are supplying B, they will get less profit, they will increase the supply of A. If you get better technology in A, you will increase the supply of A. If you get inferior technology in, if you get better technology in B, you will decrease the supply of A, increase the supply of B. It means in all the factors that I have said, the price is remaining constant, but there is an increase and decrease in demand due to factors other than the price of the same commodity. Got it? Clear? So draw the diagram. Write down. There is a change in the slope of supply curve resulting into rightward or leftward shift due to changes in factors other than price. Other than price, full stop. These changes are commonly termed as increase or decrease in supply, not quantity supplied, all right. These changes are commonly termed as increase or decrease in supply. Full stop. A rightward shift will lead to increase in supply, underline rightward shift, underline increase. A rightward shift will lead to increase in supply. Whereas leftward shift in the supply curve, will lead to decrease in supply. Full stop. Thus the slope of the supply curve, full stop. Thus the slope of the supply curve changes in such cases. Full stop. Supply curve changes in such cases. Full stop. Increase or decrease in supply may be due to the following factors. Increase or decrease in supply may be due to the following factors. Number 1, changes in the price of substitutes, related goods to write down, changes in the price of related goods. Number 2, changes in cost of production. Changes in technology. Changes in government policy of taxes and subsidies, etc. Changes in government policies of taxes and subsidies. So likewise, in case of supply also, if you want to find out elasticity of supply, when I said elasticity of demand, it was how the consumers were reacting to the changes in price, and we have seen consumers can react in various different ways. Alright, they can react by relatively bringing about a big change in quantity demanded when the price increases or decreases, by a small change, by the same change, by infinite, and the change doesn't happen. So elasticity of supply is also nothing but response of sellers. Response of sellers or suppliers. So their response will also be very closely related to the response of the consumer, because supply is completely dependent on demand. If the demand is not there, will I supply?
No, sir.
If the demand is rising sharply, I will supply. If the demand is falling down, I will not supply. If there is no demand, I will not supply. If the demand is falling down, I'll supply less. Demand is increasing, I'll supply more. Demand is not there, I'll not supply. Why do you think you'll find McDonald's in urban areas? You'll not find even one McDonald's in rural India. You go to any village and try to find McDonald's. Where is McDonald's? You're trying to PVR or Inox, you try to find out. Or try to find out, where is a mall, big mall, like Forum Mall or something. Or KFC, where is it? Will you find it? No. Despite the fact we know that more than 70% of people, they live in village India. There is more people there. But you'll find more shops here where less people are living comparatively. 30% or less population live in urban India, no? Majority of the population live in rural India. So why not they supply where there are more people? Maybe there are more people, but they do not demand. They cannot afford. So they will go, companies will go wherever there is demand. When there is no demand, there will be no supply. So demand affects supply, not vice versa. Clear? Alright, demand affects supply, not vice versa. Have you ever seen somebody going to the shop and asking how many suppliers you have? How many sellers are there, then only I'll buy? No. If you want, you'll buy. You'll only look at the price, your person, preference, income, and so on and so forth. Clear? So, it is the response of the seller. So, write down elasticity of supply. Give the heading. Elasticity of supply refers to the responsiveness of the seller which affects quantity supplied or supply due to changes in price of the commodity or any other factor. So elasticity of supply also will be calculated through, now you don't have outlay method here, you have, in case of demand you had proportionate method or percentage method, then you had point method, arc method and outlay method. Outlay method was related to the expenditure of the consumer. Here we don't call the expenditure of the seller, it is basically the cost of the seller when they supply and when they produce. So cost as a different unit will be studying in chapter 3. So you have only 3 methods here, that is proportionate method, arc method. The formula of proportionate method and arc method is the same. Only in case of point method, you have a little bit of application of differential calculus. Little bit, not too much. Alright. So, proportionate method may which is also known as percentage method or ratio method. If I have to find out elasticity of supply, then percentage change in quantity it was demanded, now it is supplied, and quantity supplied gets affected due to what? Percentage change in so exactly the formula remains the same, that is Q0 minus Q1 divided by Q0. Rather than quantity demanded, now it becomes quantity supplied into P0 divided by P0 minus P1. That will be your elasticity of supply. Alright, clear. So write down proportionate method and copy the formula. Likewise, you had 5 diagrams in under proportionate method. You will have 5 diagrams here as well. But only thing different will be in case of last 2 diagrams and the first 3 diagrams, it will become a positively sloped curve. So again, unitary elastic supply, that is E equals to 1. Now you see here, if I look at this area and look at this area, they are the same almost, alright. It means here is the response of the seller. This response is due to change in price, and response is very similar to the change in price. If say percentage change in quantity in price is 10%, and percentage increase in quantity supplied is also 10%, 10 by 10, that is 1. Again it happens in case of normal goods. If for demand it's for normal goods, then for supply it will also happen in case of normal goods. So quickly draw the diagram, write the statement. Write down. The percentage change in quantity supplied, is relatively similar, or relatively same, you write down, relatively same, underline relatively same, to the percentage change in price. Full stop. Just as in case of demand, in which case there was, just as in case of demand, in which case there was unitary elasticity, you write down, in case of, in normal goods, comma, in case of supply also, the elasticity will be equals to 1 for normal goods. In case of normal goods. Now if you see, if I cover this area, this is way smaller compared to this area covered. Alright, it means the response of the seller is way higher compared to the change in price. So this is more than unitary elastic supply, or simply I can call it as elastic supply, that is E greater than 1. Percentage change in quantity supplied, say 20%, percentage change in price is 5%, 20 by 5 is 4. Alright. So again it happens in case of luxury goods. Why? Now think from the perspective of seller. In case of demand, what did I tell you? Luxury goods are sold at a very high price. Even a discount of 10% will mean a hell lot of saving for me. So I will want to buy now. I don't want to buy in future now. Maybe I wanted to buy after 3 or 4 months, but now I'm getting a discount, I'll buy now. Because if the price is 10 lakh or 20 lakh, even 5% discount will help me save 50,000, 1 lakh rupees. Alright. So the market demand will increase, because just like me, everybody will react. That's why it become a law. Otherwise it never would have become a law. Reverse the situation. I wanted to buy now, but suddenly the market price increases. And even a small percent increase will mean a big burden on me. So I don't want to buy more now. I will postpone my demand because it's a non-essential good. Everybody will do the same and the market demand will fall by a very sharp margin. That was in case of demand, I told you. In case of supply, think from the perspective of a seller. If I'm a seller and people want to pay a high price for the commodity, I say for example, what happened during Dhanteras? You'll find the price of gold increases by a little margin. But even if it's 2% increase in the price of gold, you're not buying gold at 10 rupees. You're buying gold at 32,000 rupees. So even a 2% will mean huge profit for the seller, because it's not selling one unit, it's selling multiple units. Alright. So when people are willing to pay 2 or 3% extra for luxury goods, this 2 and 3% extra will give me huge amount of profit. I want to multiply my profit by even a higher margin, so I'll increase my supply by a big margin. Likewise, I'm a jeweler, if suppose, and the market price falls down by 2% or 3% or 5% or 10% for jewelry. Do you think I'll be willing to supply more? No. If I store my gold, maybe the price will increase, I'll sell at a higher price. Because even a small percentage fall in the price, it means people are not willing to pay much of a price, the demand is falling down, so the price will fall down. So when even 5% fall in the price of gold will mean that I'll lose by a huge margin, because I have purchased at 1 lakh. Say for example 1 unit, now 5% fall, it means I have to sell at 95,000. And if I am selling 10 units every day, it means 50,000 loss will be for me every day. And gold I can store, don't you think I will want to store as much as possible? I will decrease my supply by a big margin, because my losses will be very high if I don't decrease the supply. So the quantity supplied will fall down by a big margin when the price fall down by a small margin here in this case. Clear? Alright. So draw the diagram. Always compare demand and supply, because next what we'll see, after this we will mix the concept of demand and supply, and you will find what the movement of the curves happen and interaction we find out. Write down. Percentage change in quantity supplied is relatively more, underline relatively more. percentage change in quantity supplied is relatively more compared to percentage change in price. Compared to percentage change in price. That is the response of the seller. That is the response of the seller is very high. Full stop. It is commonly found in case of luxury goods because even a small percentage change in the market price of these goods will either mean huge profit or huge revenue loss for the seller. Full stop. Supply. Less than unitary elastic supply or inelastic supply. So, just the opposite of this diagram. You see now, even though the price is increasing by a significant margin, now you see if I cover this area, this is way bigger than this one. It means the response is less compared to the change in price. It means even the price, if it increases by 20, 25, 30%, the demand will the supply will increase by 10 or 12%. Why? Again, this is a demand for durable goods, so supply will also for durable goods. Have you ever seen any seller keeping as much stock in the furniture showroom as you find in big bazaars? No, because big bazaars sell commodities that is known as FMCG, fast moving consumable goods. I can buy one commodity today, I can buy another one maybe after 2 weeks or one time. But in a furniture shop, do you think I buy one bed and then again I pass it by, okay, nice bed, again I'll buy one. The next month again I'll buy one. No, because even when the market price is rising, the seller knows those who have already purchased, they are not creating the demand. Who are creating the demand? Those who have not yet purchased. Clear? So in that case, even when the price increases, the supply cannot be increased by a very, very big margin. Alright, by a very, very big margin, and that's why the quantity supplied increases by a relatively small amount. And because it is also not possible to increase the supply of these commodities on a very short notice. If say, for example, if the price of, if the demand for say shirt increases, you can produce shirt. There is not much, machines are already there, put in the labor work overtime and you can produce. But to produce a furniture in one day, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So even when the demand is increasing very sharply, you cannot meet up that demand very quickly. So the supply will increase but by a small margin. Alright, clear? So draw the diagram. That happens in case of durable goods, like in demand only. all similar diagrams. Only if you remember that, just reverse the situation and remember the 3. Write down. Percentage change in quantity supplied. Percentage change in quantity supplied is relatively less. Underline relatively less. Is relatively less compared to the percentage change in price. Compared to the percentage change in price. Full stop. In other words, the sellers are less elastic or less responsive. The sellers are less elastic or less responsive to the changes in price. Full stop. Just as in case of demand, durable goods, just as in case of demand, after full stop, just as in case of demand, durable goods had inelastic demand. Had inelastic demand. In case of supply also, the demand for such goods will be inelastic. In case of supply also, such goods will have, or such goods will be inelastic. Full stop. Last two diagrams, they will be different, little different. They look like the same, but there it was perfectly inelastic supply. That is E equals to 0. It look exactly the same. Price increase or decrease, quantity remains the same. So percentage change in quantity demanded is 0 divided percentage change in price. Whatever is the percent, 0 divided by anything is 0. In which case, as I've told you, in case of necessary goods. But what other examples can you give? There are two more classical examples in this case. It means, don't you think in case of perishable goods also? See, the demand for perishable goods can increase in the short run, but the supply cannot be increased. That's why you'll find, have you ever heard the price of, perfume, the price of talcum powder, the price of AC is increasing because demand is more but the supply is less? No, it never happens. But you will always hear in the short time period that the price of butter is increasing, price of milk suddenly rises, price of vegetables suddenly rises. Why? Because the demand for everything can increase or decrease very quickly, but the supply of everything cannot increase or decrease very quickly. So supply of perishable goods cannot be increased. That's the reason when the demand suddenly increases, the supply cannot match up, and the price increase. That's why you'll find sometime the onion is sold this week at 20 rupees per kilogram and suddenly it changes to 120 rupees per kilogram. That was one of the fundamental reasons why in 2004 the BJP government lost. Apart from other reasons, the reason was rise in the price of onion. So onion can be, no, you're laughing, it's a fact. Because onion is something that goes into more than 90% of the food that we cook at home. Alright, you cannot have a sambar without onion, cannot have a rasam, and so many things. Without, you take out onion, you're gone. You become a Jaini. Your caste changes. Alright, so onion is, and even Jainis now I've seen most of the cases, 80% they consume onion. Without onion they cannot survive. Is it non-veg nahi khayega, ye nahi khayega, onion bhi nahi khayega. How is it possible? Alright, so again, so onion price increase because supply cannot be increased. In Delhi, you see, in 2011, it created a world record wherein there was 40,000 marriage on one single day. There was some, planetary movement, they were aligning, so on that particular day was the auspicious day. On that day, 40,000 marriage. Suddenly when the 40,000 marriages are happening, then the flowers and everything, and everybody will be giving invite to so many people. You will have to give them paneer, this and that. So price of paneer and everything increased by 3 to 4 folds. Alright, imagine, my God, 40,000 marriages in one day. Can you beat that? What will happen to the population of, and that's only one union territory, my God. That's only one union territory. One union territory. That's why I say India adds 2.5 crore. According to 2011 census, every year we produce one Australian team. The entire, not the Australian team, only 11. The entire Australian continent, it's produced in India. What they will do? Right? So that there will be a time you see Chinese and Indians will become so much that will not need weapon to win over other countries. You just let people go into that country. How many you will kill? You don't have the bloody bullets to kill. We will run over your country. So problem. See, yeah, exactly. If you see, you take out entire Karnataka and entire Andhra and go there and keep it in Dubai, all the Sikhs will run away. They cannot fight with all their weapons. How many you will shoot? You will shoot 20, 50 again following. You shoot 50, 200 again following. You keep shooting it. Someday your bullets will end. Right? So Indian can capture. That's why Indians have a different strategy altogether. We population बढ़ाने का है, and then we'll capture Pakistan, Bangladesh, where they will go. You don't have to have weapon to fight. So, perishable goods in the short time period. In the long run, you can increase. If I want to increase the production of tomatoes in the long run, it means you give me 7 or 8 months or 9 months of time, I can increase. But in the short time period, it cannot be increased. But there are certain commodities that the supply of which cannot be increased, whether in the short run or in the long run. It can never be increased. Give me 2 examples. Can we have another Mona Lisa painting? You can have a fake one, Chinese one, a Chinese Mona Lisa. Alright, you cannot have. It means the antiques, the supply cannot be increased. The supply is fixed. Alright, clear. So, land. According to Ricardian principle, land can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. Only its utility can be increased by human endeavor. So, do you think the land of India, is it increasing or decreasing? No, it is remaining the same. There is that erosion is happening, so many of the countries which are low-lying countries, they will be drowned, like Maldives. Before it drowns, go there. Because 2 years back, what they do to create a, awareness in the global community that we need to bring down global warming, they held their parliament session underwater. Yeah, all the ministers, they went into a scuba gear and they were conducting just as a show that will disappear in the next 15 to 20 years from the planet. Yes, it's a fact, it will drown. So you can say, sir, Maldives is gone, then the supply of land is decreased. No, land is still available, it's underwater only. Alright, it has become inaccessible, but it is not flying out into space, chipping off into space. Alright, so draw this diagram. Write down. When quantity supplied cannot be increased irrespective of any change in price, then the supply becomes perfectly inelastic. Underline perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. Full stop. For example, in case of perishable goods, the supply remains fixed during the short time period. Supply remains fixed during the short time period. Why? Because supply cannot be increased in the short time period. All right. Supply remains fixed in the short time period. And in case of antiques, land, the quantity supplied can never be increased. Full stop. Thus the supply curve will become a vertical straight line, underline vertical straight line, which is parallel to the y-axis while it touches the x-axis. Full stop. And last one. Similar diagram, but the reasons will be different. There it was price of substitute, price of complements, price of income of the consumer. Here it will be technology, cost of production, subsidies, taxes, price of related goods, quantity, P0. So again Q0, Q1. Supply may increase, supply may decrease. You can as well draw a supply curve here, doesn't matter. Supply may increase or supply may decrease, but the price remains the same. It means it is not the price that is affecting supply, it is factors other than price that we have seen in the diagram. Then you can again say, sir, why you are saying that supply curve is a horizontal straight line? Reason is, when the price is fixed, you will always have point along this line because you cannot go up or go down. Alright, so you will go higher up here or you come down here. So either you draw the supply curve, even if I draw the supply curve here, any other point do not matter to me, only at this point it matters to me. So it means every point there is a supply curve here. Alright, that's why horizontal. Clear? So draw the diagram. When supply changes, okay, draw it, When supply changes due to factors other than price, the elasticity becomes infinite. The elasticity becomes infinite, full stop. These changes in supply may be due to various factors like price of related goods, technology, taxes, etc. All those 5 that you have written previously. Price of related good, taxes, subsidies, cost of production, etc. Full stop. The supply curve in such a case will be a horizontal straight line, underline horizontal straight line, which is parallel to the supply curve in such a case will be a horizontal straight line which is parallel to x axis while it touches the y axis, which is parallel to x axis while it touches the y axis, full stop. Alright, full stop. The other 2 methods will cover after the break, half an hour. So 11:10 will start at 11:40.